Hello students and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's news, we will be looking at the great achievement that India has done. That is, we have crossed the renewable energy capacity of 200 gigawatts. So we are now producing more than 200 gigawatts. That is our capacity with respect to renewable energy. So it's a great news for India. It is a great achievement for us, right? And imagine doing this, achieving this as a part of our independently determined goals for sustainable development, for reducing carbon footprint, all this as a developing nation, having so many other concerns where developed nations have walked away from the promises, are not doing much, even though they were the they are the topmost producers, and they have been historically as well in industrial revolution, so on and so forth. So they have more of a responsibility, at the same time more of resources, but still it is us who is achieving such great feats, right? And it is commendable, not just after reaching this, but we were trying for this since long time, since 2015 in December, when the Paris agreement was there. India has come up with their own goals, and our movement towards that goal was appreciated by various international organizations, various countries as well. And here we are having more than 200 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity. So let's dig deep into the news. India has reached a significant milestone in its renewable energy capacity. That is the news. And we have crossed 200 gigawatts mark. Now we want to cross 500 gigawatts mark. We will see all that in detail. So let's get started. Now, this particular thing, of course, it's an entire nation's achievement, but some states have also been at the forefront. Now, there can be some geographical reasons also for that. For example, if you talk about tidal energy, or if you talk about even hydropower electricity, hydel energy. So in hydel energy, mountainous regions wherein there are, let's say rivers, you have falls of water, which the power of water that could be utilized for by creating a dam and then converting energy through hydel power plants. Now, in some states that may not be possible. In some states, more of solar energy may be possible. In some other states, that may not be possible. So all these geographical factors are also there, along with other factors as well. So we are seeing it, and it is all the information has been sourced from the PIB. So we are seeing the states that is driving India's renewable energy capacity. So the topmost state is Rajasthan with close to 30 gigawatts. Now, it is a huge feat, so I would want you to remember at least the top 2-3 states, top 4 states you should remember. If you don't remember exactly, though you don't have to, but you should know which are the top 4 and a rough estimate of how much they are producing. So Rajasthan is the topmost. Then comes Gujarat, then Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Rajasthan and Gujarat are very, very close to each other. Then you have Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, again very close. So these 4, if you look at, this is 60, this over 100 gigawatts. So this is more than 50% of the entire nation's capacity is with just these 4 states. Okay. Now further, if you look at renewable energy capacity based on different types of renewable energy, then solar power plant leads, and it consists of approximately 45% of the entire installed capacity of renewable energy. Then second comes hydro plus small hydropower, you can club them up. So second is hydro. If you club them up, it becomes second. If you have different, if in option you are asked in chronological order or increasing or decreasing order, and hydro is separate and small hydro is separate, then hydro will become 4th and wind power will become the second one. But if they both are combined, they both become combined and become second, and third will be wind, and then you have the bio power. All right. Now, what are India's energy targets? Now, we have achieved this, but we are not stopping here. We have other goals. So what are these goals? By 2030, we want to achieve 500 gigawatts of installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuel. from non-fossil fuel sources, at the same time to be net zero with respect to carbon. Net zero as per India's commitments to COP. COP is Conference of Parties 26th Conference of Party. This Conference of Party, 26th Conference of Party is of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So these are our future targets. Now, let's break down the capacity. We have solar power. Now you are thinking solar power, there was 45, how it is 20? Because we are breaking down the entire capacity of India's electricity generation, which will also include renewable as well. So total capacity we are taking here into account. This is a wrong number. Let me just, this would be around 452 gigawatts, and this would be 100%. Okay. So solar energy, for out of the total 452 gigawatts that is installed, 90.76 is solar energy. It is 45% of the renewable energy installation, but it is 20% of the entire energy installation. Understand the difference, okay? So it is still a very good amount. Then you have wind power amounting to approximately 10%, and large hydro, small hydro. Large hydro 10, small hydro 11. If you combine them, this hydro will be more. Okay, if you don't, then wind comes second. Then you have biopower amounting to 2.5%. Total renewable energy is 201.45 gigahertz. Total renewable, this is renewable. Total renewable is 201.45 gigahertz, that is 46.3. And total installed capacity is how much? 452. That means total non-renewable will be how much? Total non-renewable will be approximately 250 gigawatts. So 250 gigawatts is non-renewable, 200 is renewable. So renewable is catching up very fast with non-renewable. Very soon it may so happen that the renewable percentage may and will go higher than the non-renewable one. So this was the breakdown. Now, to achieve this, what steps have been taken by the government of India? First is National Green Hydrogen Mission. It was focusing on developing green hydrogen to reduce the carbon emission. If you are talking about hydrogen as a fuel, it reduces carbon emission, because if you look at other fuels, it consists of CH as in carbon plus hydrogen. So what do? You remove the carbon element and just keep hydrogen, so that carbon emission are reduced. But there are other challenges with respect to hydrogen alone. Hydrogen is extremely combustible. So it is more of a security danger that is there. So it is being focused on, safer type of hydrogen energy is being generated, so that carbon emission is reduced. Then PM Kusum Yojana. So this provides irrigation pumps, solar irrigation pump to farmers, which promotes solar energy. See, why doing this? How will this help in increasing the solar energy production? It's very simple. It is the matter of demand plus supply. Let's say no one wants solar energy, then what happens? No one would be ready to produce solar energy. But when people want solar energy, people want renewable energy, more and more people would be interested in producing solar energy. I hope that is absolutely clear. Now, further PLI scheme, that is Production Link Incentive Scheme. How does Production Link Incentive Scheme work? The more you produce, the more incentive you get. As simple as that. So it will encourage domestic manufacturing of solar photovoltaic modules by offering production linked incentives. Production linked incentive means higher the production, higher the incentive. It will not be like if you produce X amount, you get Y amount of incentive. It's not just that. It is different at different stages. At X amount, you get Y. at A amount you get B, at C amount you get D. So as the amount of production increases, the amount of subsidy keeps on, or incentive keeps on increasing. Then you have 100% FDI is allowed. It allows full foreign direct investment in renewable energy through automatic route, meaning you don't even need to take approval. So any hurdle for FDI has been removed. No approval required. All complete 100% FDI is allowed through automatic route. Waiver of ISTS, that is interstate transmission system charges. Interstate transmission system charges. What is the meaning of this? If a solar energy or any renewable energy is produced in one state and it is getting transferred or transported to another state, there was a charge. There is a charge which is incurred. For renewable energy, that charges is taken away. So it helps in transportation also. And this is a very good thing to do. Why? Because we have seen just 4 states producing so much of renewable energy, more than half of the entire nation's renewable energy, right? So other states can also benefit. Demand will increase, more production will increase, cost and all will be, cost effective it will be for people to produce when there is more demand. So by reducing this, they facilitate the use of this energy by other states as well. Then you have renewable energy purchase obligation. So basically mandating certain percentage, a set percentage of the energy from renewable sources until 2029-23. So whatever power utilities are there, they need to purchase. See, whatever power utilities are there, they will be utilizing some or the other form of energy. So there will be a mandate that at least this percentage of utilization of energy should be through renewable sources, right? Then viability gap funding. What is viability gap funding? For example, I want to start a solar power plant. I see that I have 100 units of money, right? But I need 150 units of money, right? At the same time, if I have this money, this is the credit the government can provide me at cheaper interest rate. But I see that even if the credit, this is not viable gap funding, this is credit. So I managed to get the credit and now I have 150 units of money to start my solar power plant. But I realized that in the initial 3 years, I may not be having profits, because all of a sudden my entire power may not be sold. There would be other challenges, there would be more cost in the beginning, high initial setup costs, etc., etc. So for 3 years there may not be any profit, and I do not have that much of amount of money to sustain my business for 3 years with some amount of losses. That means my business is not viable. Why it's not viable? Because I can foresee that there will be a loss of, let's say, 20 lakhs in the first 3 years. So this is the viability gap. This is the viability gap. If I would have had 20 lakh rupees with me, I could have run this business even if it is no profit, no loss, or some amount of loss, because after 3 years I know there will be profit. But since I do not have this additional money, I see that this business is not viable. And to make it viable, the government provides this amount to me, this fund to me, to address the viability issue, to address the issue of the gap in its viability. And that is known as viability gap funding. Okay. Then green energy open access rules. It facilitates easier access to renewable energy. The easier the access, the more the utilization of it. So these are the steps that have been taken, but of course there are challenges. What is the very first challenge? A very high upfront cost. A very high upfront cost is required. Take for example at a very small scale also, if you want to install an electric geyser in your house. I'm not even talking about various big setups to generate electricity, but just electric geyser. Electric geyser. You can get electric geyser in 3,000, in 5,000, this cheap, good company, branded geysers at this rate. Now, if you want to install a solar geyser, it will cost you multiple times more than this. Later on, it will help you because electricity bill will not be there. Here, electricity bill will be there. Later on, it will help you. But initially, what is there? A high upfront cost. Now, similar thing is, why high upfront cost? Because the solar geyser will consist of solar photovoltaic cell, and these photovoltaic cells are costly. Now to create a power plant of solar energy, imagine the amount that is required, and hence high upfront cost is there. Then intermittency and variability, the same thing can happen in your geyser also if it's a rainy season. If you are staying at a place where there is not much sunlight, or summer season is not that long, so on and so forth, then what happens? Your solar geyser will become redundant. It will not be helpful. So that is what intermittency and variability. Renewable energy sources like solar and wind are dependent on weather time, which makes them less predictable. Okay, so that can be a problem. That is another challenge. Then of course infrastructural needs, again indirectly you can relate with the requirement of investment. Okay, then policy and regulatory hurdles. There is a lot of inconsistency in policy, and still the regulation is a bit stringent. We need to more be liberalized. Then raw material excess. All this requires some rare earth materials which are critical for manufacturing the technologies, and this sector faces shortages, especially because see, India does not have a huge reserve of rare earth minerals, so we have to import. One such country that we import from is China. Now imagine the situation. So there is and anyhow they are rare earth materials, but China has a lot of them. A huge quantity of rare earth material deposit is present in China. It is one such country from whom we import. So there are issues of shortages of this. And finally, geographical disparities. Some states, some regions are more suited than the others, so the other states are not able to do well in this area. That is one reason for not doing well. So what can be the way ahead or solution? Technological advancement, develop technology. So we are talking, one simple example is there is variability in renewable energy. So how can we address that? Can we store? Now storage is possible, but that itself will require more cost. Is there a cheaper way to store it? How can you store it? Can you store it or not? Etc. etc. For that, technology has to be developed. Then policy consistency has to be there. Regulation should be proper, and further capacity building by having skilled technicians and skilled people in this particular field. At the same time, international collaboration. When international collaboration is there, very importantly, technological transfer will happen. Or else what will happen? A country has built a technology, took 20 years. Now if India also want to build, it may take 10, 15 or 5 years or whatever. So instead, if there is technology transfer, the time gets saved. So that is a very important factor, and with international collaboration, that can be made possible. So these are the further steps which India can take to then go on to do even better than what we are already doing and achieve the target of 500 gigawatts by 2030, so on, and the net carbon zero emission by 2070, so on and so forth. Thank you.